Llangollen Canal, 46 miles of beautiful, rugged and glorious countryside terrain, beginning its journey where it's fed from the River Dee at Horseshoe Falls before passing through the picturesque village of Llangollen, where most narrowboat journeys are made before floating through the countryside high above the River Dee and the valley below, going through wondrous scenes and mechanical glories, engineering marvels including tunnels, aqueducts and the world famous Grade 1 listed Pontycysyllte Aquaduct, 126 feet above the valley with the River Dee below. So where the canal is unnavigable and officially begins at Horseshoe Falls, we'll begin our walk from Llangollen, way high above the town and the River Dee, going through some picturesque valleys and landscapes high above the valley below, occasionally intercepting the former railway line which was closed in 1965 before eventually ending up at Llangollen Basin and the Pontycysyllte Aqueduct. Now this is currently empty at the time of walking. It has been drained for inspection and maintenance purposes, and in the following video after this we will get to walk through the troughs, the deep belly of the aqueduct from one end to the other and get to see it for its finer details. So that's a video to look forward to straight after this one. I'm going to jump down to the towpath and begin our 6-mile walk. So up there's Llangollen Basin, and there's plenty of hire boats just here, look, and those ones that you can take a ride on as well if you're going to come here for a holiday and have a bit of a go along this stretch of waterway. I've done this in a boat, I think it was 2011. Did it in October, so it was quite chilly, but there was less boat traffic on there as well. Tea rooms are closed unfortunately. I bet they are open at the weekends and later on in the year in the peak season. I imagine they're probably open every day. So a quick overview of where we are. I've got some cottages there, look. The River Dee is down there, Llangollen Railway Station is just down there, and the town centre is there. We'll go under bridge 45W, leave these boats behind, and we'll push on our way towards Trevor and the Pontycysyltte Aqueduct. And immediately it goes into a bottleneck. I remember doing this and I was absolutely dreading coming across a narrowboat coming the opposite way. I'm sure it happens quite often. Hello Dorothy, how are you? Strange name for a duck, I think it was a male. Look at that beautiful building, it's got like a castle sort of fascia to it and roof, hasn't it? Look at the view that would have. That's beautiful, isn't it? Need to get the drone up at some point. Nice clear morning, and got to get away from all these houses though before we do. This cottage as well, look. What a lovely tranquil setting. So there are passing points, look, so don't be put off if you're thinking of coming on here with your own boat or on holiday, because there are the passing points. And even down here it looks like it's going narrow, but there is a boat moored up, look, so there is the right amount of width to pass. Full length of this canal is 46 miles. You can have a maximum boat length of 70 foot for the 21 locks along this route, and it was opened way back in 1795 and was later incorporated into the Shropshire Union Canal in the 1800s. Really high up right now, look. A539 down there. The railway track bed, what we're coming back on in the 5th video in this series, is just down there, but I think you can walk along it further down. Super narrow again, look. Look at that in both ways. It's unbelievable, isn't it? When you think they'd got the width to maybe make a full double width canal, but maybe it was the embankment that was required to stop erosion and also breaches going down there and emptying the canal and ruining it permanently. So nice little lift bridge here, look. It's a really good example, isn't it? It must be for cattle. It's not a footpath, it's not a road, so it just goes down to a field down there, look. So cattle or sheep or whatnot that goes in there. Plenty of muddy paw prints or hoof prints on the other side as well. That's nice, isn't it? What a beautiful view this would be to wake up to. Hello ducks. If you had a narrowboat along here, that's Trevor Rocks. All the way up there. So high up, isn't it? What a glorious spot. Cute little bridge, 43W. Bit of wetness to navigate. Out the other side. What a quaint, look how narrow that is. That cottage. Very narrow, isn't it? I just love that kind of brickwork. You get those little windows too with the blue brick arches on them. Nice, isn't it? Also, if this walk is something you'd like to do and you're probably going to want to use public transport, I believe it's the Service 5. It runs every 30 minutes, I believe. It might be more than that, more regular. I think there's other services too. It runs between Wrexham and Llangollen. So you could walk from one end and then get the bus back to where you began. Just thought that'd be a little bit useful. Canal narrows to one boat width for the next 300 yards. So if you're on a narrowboat, you've got to be prepared to stop. And I've had a few of those eventualities myself on holidays and when I also lived on one, until I had to walk the plank and be land-based again. So under the A539 we go, and we'll probably be a bit closer to the Trevor to Llangollen Railway line, or the Ruabon to Llangollen Railway line. I'll be following that railway line. Oh look, there's a sluice there, look. So that's for emptying, although there's a lot of water coming out of that. Is that coming out of the canal? Yes. Yes it is, it's acting as like an overflow for the canal, look. You see that leaf moving there? It's going underneath, you can see it's all swirly. That sluice is slightly open, and I think it's coming out just down there. Let's go and take a look. That culvert dispatching all the water down there, that was absolutely wild. It was spitting in my face. It was that fast coming down with such force. Look at the size of this stone wall with the house at the top. It's quite a huge clump of chimneys on the top of that. So here we are, we're doing that 300-metre section of single boat passage. Look over here. See the River Dee down there, look. That looks quite twisty twirly down there as well. The old railway line was just here, back towards Trevor that way and Llangollen that way, where the steam railway is. Some gorgeous, gorgeous views. This, look over there, there's a separate archway. What could that have been used for? Because the towpath is on this side, the road is on that side, but I think this was also station access, because on the railway down on the opposite side there was a station or a halt known as Sunbank Halt. Oh look, the archway is actually open on that side. That's interesting, isn't it? Seems to serve no purpose, but I don't know, good place to take shelter maybe back in the day. Sunbank Halt had a pretty short life, opened in 1905. The other stations on the line opened in the 1800s, 1905 until 1950. So this one also closed relatively early compared to the 1964 and 65 that the other stations closed on that line. For much of the canal's journey through the countryside between Trevor and Llangollen, it entwined with the former railway line that closed back in 1965. And just around here was the site of Sunbank Halt. That opened in 1905 and closed by 1950. But this picture we can see just here shows the close proximity of the railway line and the canal with the towpath in between. In 1945 there was a fatal train crash that occurred below the canal right here, caused by a breach of the canal bank. After a day's heavy rainfall on the 10th of September, the canal bank gave way a few metres east of where there's now a picnic bench by the towpath. Water rushed from the canal and broke up a large gap below the railway line, and at 4:51 AM the first train of the day, conveying parcels from Chester to Barmouth, approached the gap in darkness. The locomotive, a Great Western Railway locomotive, threw across the gap and half buried itself in the bank on the far side. Driver Jones sadly died instantly as the cab was crushed. The fireman was thrown from the cab and buried in falling earth, but freed himself and walked away to raise the alarm. A little bit of the old railway there, look. So this is going to be an overflow out of the canal. A little culvert just there, letting water into the canal. But I can't see any manual sluice, windlass thing just here, so that looks like that's been derelict for a long time. But we'll talk about more about that on the way back when we do the railway walk video. So a bit of a teaser to whet your appetite there for what will be video number 5 in this area. Old railway bridge through there, look. So the line going across the top, but we'll look at that more when I walk that route on the way back. Further confirmation of the presence of the railway. Look at that old iron bracket or frame there for whatever it was, maybe to do with telecommunications. Yeah, so the railway, Trevor that way and Llangollen to the right. We're going to pass underneath it, so now that'll stay to the left of us and we'll curve around a little bit and separate ourselves from the line. That's going off that way. Hopefully that's walkable, or some chunks of it are. We're going to push on towards the aqueduct at Trevor now. We must be about halfway along this route. It's quite a fancy little bit of wall, isn't it? Dated 1903 with a little iron gate in the middle and iron fence on either side. You've got to imagine that at one time of day you could moor your boat up there and probably go in there, because it was a hotel and restaurant. I wonder if it's still in operation. It looks a bit quiet and boarded up. Some of the windows do. Yeah, the Brynhol Hotel and Restaurant. Plenty of windows chipboarded up. Bridge 38W as we pass below and continue our journey towards Trevor, the aqueduct, and also away from the railway, which was up there. So it's not this embankment, that's the hotel grounds. The railway was about 100 or so metres over there. Small winding hole there, look, probably can whiz a 70-footer around in there, and there's enough room to pass in both directions as we go forwards, as we curve around. Look, only about half a mile away from Pontycysyllte Aqueduct now. Over 200 years old. I think it's almost 230 years old. In fact, 2024 right now. Pontycysyllte Aqueduct, 200 feet high, and also Pontycysyltte Aqueduct, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly too, aren't I? That embankment's really deep. You can see where the trees, how high up the trees are, but they're very, very low down at the roots. Nice little bit just here. probably a quarter of a mile from the aqueduct. I can just see it through the trees, maybe a touch more than a quarter of a mile. Getting very, very close to our destination on this video. So down here is the approach to Trevor Basin. Once you get there, you take a sharp right turn, as if you're gonna then travel over the aqueduct. So over there, look, that's the route back to Llangollen. That's where we were walking, and we've come this way. Trevor Basin is behind us, and the aqueduct is dead ahead in front. Unfortunately today we cannot cross the aqueduct. They are doing maintenance work. It has been drained. There's no way we're going to cross it. In this video, we have been invited to come along and walk along the aqueduct while the water is actually missing. How about that? So I think that's going to be the next video, or the one after, where you're going to be able to see what the base, the trough of the Pontycysyllte Aqueduct absolutely looks like. I can see it now. It's absolutely bone dry. That is super exciting. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye bye.